Hello, good afternoon. I'm Vincent Defourny, the director of the UNESCO Geneva Liaison office, and it's really my pleasure to be with you and to be the moderator of this fourth session of the 2030 Digital Fast Track Studio. The Digital Fast Track Studio is an initiative led by Microsoft, UN Affairs in Geneva, the Graduate Institute, the Center for Trade and Economic Integration, and the UNESCO Geneva Liaison Office. Last week, on the 6th of April, we celebrated the International Day of Sports for Education, Sports for Development and Peace. And we will be discussing some very interesting issue this afternoon related to this question as well. But it will be the focus on sports, technology, and innovation. We will have three very interesting panelists, and I'm sure you will enjoy the discussion with them. But somehow we will be discussing on how can sport contribute to and foster the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. We will discuss also the effects of an increased use of technology in sport and what kind of implication it has on health, on education, on peace building. And we will try also to see whether innovation in sport represents an opportunity for those who are left behind. So thank you to be with us today. Marlène, Harnois, Emilie, Michel, and Arnaud. I will introduce you more in details in a moment, but first of all, I would like to get your quick reactions about when you hear about sports, technology, and innovation. What do you have in mind? Marlène, maybe unmute. If you can unmute your microphone.
Sorry about that. So I believe that technology is the greatest tool actually to promote our action and have a global reach and contribute to development and peace through sport movement.
Great. Emilie?
For EPFL and for us in our Sport Tech initiative, it's a great way to transfer our research and technology to the society.
Okay, Arnaud, what do you think about it?
So yeah, I think that definitely technology could have a lot of positive effects, and I think that's maybe those questions are actually quite difficult to answer, and so yeah, I think this session will be really interesting.
Thanks. And maybe just to give you the opportunity to be part also of this discussion, we will ask you somehow similar questions, and maybe we can get on the screen the three little questions, and maybe you could try to answer quickly, and we will get back to the results later on in our debate. Can we get the questions? Okay. I don't see the question. Okay, it's coming. Yeah. I mean, the first question is, okay.
So it appears there are some technical difficulties with Vincent's microphone. While he's sorting that out, let me just present this to the esteemed panelists. The question is the use of technology an opportunity to better integrate, well, we've changed it now, is the use of technology a way of stimulating more people and practicing sports? So please take that as you each see fit. And you might need to unmute.
I've just replied the poll through the link online. But of course, I answered yes to all three questions. I'm a strong believer in it.
Thank you very much. Please feel free to take it in order. Arnaud, Emilie.
Sorry for the yes, it's a yes for me too for the 3 questions, but of course it's technology. It's you can find tools to, of course, integrate more easily sport in your personal life and social life.
Yeah, it is definitely yes for me too, for the 3 questions. And yeah, and yeah.
Thank you very much, Arnaud. Please bear with us. I believe Vincent is being brought back in and may be back with us now. So Vincent, we've just done a quick round with the panelists, but back over to you. You may need to unmute.
Yeah, I think I'm back now with another computer. Sorry for this technical problem. We are always, let's say, dependent of the technique. But if you can hear now, we were just in the questions. So maybe you have had the opportunity to answer to the 3 questions. Is it was it presented to the public? Is it okay? Yeah. Okay, let's move on. And well, Marlène, you won an Olympic medal in Taekwondo during the London Olympic Games in 2012. And soon after, you decided to stop your sport career and you went to Africa. Could you tell us a bit more about this story and what was your motivation and what did you do?
I've always wanted to, I've always really believed in the value of Olympism based on respect, solidarity, friendship, excellence. And I've always been strongly involved with associations during my sporting career in France, whether it was for hospitals visit with young kids. And I always dreamed of leading a humanitarian mission one day. So when I stopped my career, I wanted to share my expertise with younger generations in emerging countries and give back and promote the positive values of sport. So I first went to West Africa, Senegal, and then when I went to Ivory Coast, I discovered 2 young prodigies that had incredible talent, and that was back in 2013, 2014. And as soon as I saw them, I said, I couldn't believe their talent. I was so impressed. And I said, they have the potential to become Olympic champions. And obviously I wasn't taken too seriously because they had never been any Olympic gold medal won in any sport for the country. But I really believed in them. And I built a foundation in Abidjan, which is the capital, to promote sport education and actually to support those athletes on their Olympic journey. And at the Rio Olympic Games in 2016, Czech became the first Olympic champion in the history of Ivory Coast. And the same day, Ruth, the woman, became the first woman Olympic medalist. And on their way back to the country, I saw all the power they had to inspire younger generations, give hope, and unite the country. And I realized the real power that sport can have, and the real power that sport can play not only on a nation, but worldwide. And
that's an incredible story. That's an incredible story. You made 2 Olympic champions,
yeah.
Just from nowhere. I mean, starting from the really corner of the city of the school, and you managed to get them, let's say, on the Olympic Games, and they won. That's incredible.
Yeah, they were training in the suburbs of the capital with barely no equipment, no material. But they had so much strength and courage, and actually sport has allowed them to realize their dream and make it come true, and also contribute to the success of the country on the international scene. And now they have an impact on millions of people. Whether Ruth is promoting gender equity or Czech is contributing to the development of sport. And I just realized the power it could have. And that's when I became involved with Peace and Sport organization that's based in Monaco. It's an international organization that's placed under the high patronage of and still be involved in Africa. And as you know, and
I think we have some technical problem with Marlène. I'm not sure whether we can hear her. So we lost Marlène. Yeah. Okay, but let's it is live, so let's try to find the solutions. Let's try and let's maybe continue the debates. She disappeared from the screen, but let's continue this conversation and in fact we will come back with Marlène in a moment. Yeah, you are back, Marlène. So you were just telling us about Peace and Sport. So Peace and Sport is an organization, is an NGO based in Monte Carlo. And now you are a champion for peace and sport.
Yes, and so now I'm involved since 2016 with Peace and Sport, and actually during the pandemic we had to find ways to innovate and adapt to the travel restrictions and all the measures to still be able to have a global reach and still provide support to communities worldwide. So we've launched a mobile application. That's the first digital use that uses technology to promote a culture of peace through sport. So the mobile application is called Peace and Sport in partnership with my coach. And actually, so on the application, we've also developed an e-learning platform to increase capacity building in our stakeholders and actually train educators of peace in the countries and the areas where we have our field programs, in order to reach as many beneficiaries as possible. And also,
how many people do you reach like that? I mean, with this application, and which is an application on the cell phone, on the smartphone, isn't it?
It's on an application that's built on a smartphone. In total, we're aiming at 2,000 beneficiaries by next month. And we already have in the Zatari camp in Jordan, we already have 350 beneficiaries in our camp that train every day, and in the Great Lake regions in Africa, in Burundi with our Live Together program, we have 800 beneficiaries that have our weekly sessions through our mobile application.
What's the main advantage of this application for you? I mean,
there are so many main advantages. The first one is the global reach. Is now we can reach anyone in the world with internet access. So it allows us to reach communities. It allows us to be in refugee camps, to have a success and a bigger global reach. So that's the first one. The first one is that the e-learning platform despite
yeah, losing you again. Yeah, I mean, maybe just like
and also
please
and it also sorry, I wasn't sure if the connection was good or not. And it also allows us for reporting, monitoring, and evaluation, so we can collect data. And for instance, we can see, because gender equity is really, it's an SDG that's really important to our organization as well. So through the data that we collect, we can see how many little girls we reach and benefit from our programs as well.
We've got a question in the chat, and it is something I should have said from the very beginning. I mean, you are of course now very used to the use of this Zoom, and you can post your questions, your comments in the Q&A or in the chat. And here we've got a question from Elias Bene, and he would like to know more about the reach, your reach at the refugee camps.
So what do you mean the reach? So we have 300 in terms of beneficiaries, or in terms of NGOs we work with, or
maybe in terms of, I mean, how do you manage, let's say, to get these values, I mean, the values of peace and sport to the refugee camps? I mean,
okay, so in total, we work with 9 NGOs. We have a partnership, an MOU with UNHCR. We're established in 10 countries. We have trained over 200 peace animators, which are the peace educators. And we're expecting over 2,000 beneficiaries. How we work is through the learning platform that's developed on integrated on the mobile application. We train educators of peace, and then they can monitor and they can train lead the training sessions. We have over 75 training sessions available for football and soccer and rugby as well in 3 languages. And we also train coordinators. They can coordinate all the program on the field location. So for instance, in Jordan, I believe we have trained 6 Syrian refugees who have now became the peace educators in the camp.
Yeah, that's quite incredible. I mean, the multiplication, the multiplying effect, let's say, of this.
It's exponential, yeah.
It's completely exponential. And how would you engage people to be more interested in certain sports with almost no experience? That's a question, I mean, coming also from the chat.
Sorry,
how do you engage with people who are not used, let's say, with sports, where they have no sports experience?
You mean the peace educators?
Yeah, the peace educators, of course, those who are using the smartphone.
So there's video tutorials on the application that are integrated as well. And then our goal is really to share values through those sessions. So we're not aiming at making those beneficiaries international athletes. That's not our goal. Our goal is to make them the best citizen they can be, and leaders in their community, and also working professionals, you know, because through the learning platform, it also allows them to develop Microsoft Office, to develop other capacities. And it's really the capacity building and the value of the sport that then we want them to transfer to other areas of their life as well. But it's all to be in a structured framework.
Excellent. Well, I mean, you're talking about the structural framework, and we've got a comment or a question, let's say, from somebody who knows very well, let's say, this environment. And he says, as practitioners, do you use the Kazan Action Plan to help improve sport for peace and development? Do you know what it is, the Kazan Action Plan first? Yeah.
Yes, it fits in the Kazan Action Plan, and actually the mobile application was referred as a best practice within the 2020 United Nations SG report on the sport contribution to the SDGs agenda for 2030.
Okay.
And we're a partner with UNESCO as well. We have an MOU that was signed last year at the International Peace and Sport Forum in Monaco. Excellent.
We'll come back to some of these issues maybe in a moment. We'll now give the floor to Arnaud and Emilie later on. We've got very interesting comments also in the chat, and we've got a former tennis player who's saying things about, let's say, what he's doing in Mozambique. So have a look at that. But maybe before starting and before discussing with Arnaud, could we get the results of our little poll? So the first question was, is the use of technology a way of stimulating more people in practicing sport? What are the results? Yeah, well, 91%. Well, there is no doubt about it. Okay. The second question was, is the use of technology a factor creating more equality in sports? What is the results? Yeah, okay. 73% believe yes, it is an opportunity to have more equality, and we will be questioning, let's say, Arnaud on this very specific point.
But let's have a look at the last question. Is the use of technology an opportunity to better integrate sports in our personal and social lives? Yes, 100% of him, no doubt about it. Wow, incredible. I'm very surprised about it. What do you think, Arnaud? Arnaud, you are an athlete. Your sport is pole vaulting, and you won medals and titles in national and international competitions. You still plan to go to the next Olympic Games, and we wish you, of course, all the best for the qualification. But I'm sure you could tell us a bit more about innovation. Innovation in pole vaulting, but because of course the material and the technology and the used for the pole is completely different now than what it was in the beginning. But you are, I mean, I would like you maybe to focus on something slightly different, because you are also a data scientist working with the Volodyline Laboratory, which is a Swiss sport lab.
Yeah,
and it's a lab equipped with state-of-the-art technology, 3D cameras, inertial sensors, and so on, to better understand motor skills and the links with performance and or injuries.
Mm-hmm.
While preparing this exchange, you told me that technology, such a kind of technology, can be a factor for equality. Can you explain why do you say that?
Yeah, of course. So I think, you know, there are different kind of research, and, you know, innovation can lead to different type of innovation. You know, there are mainly two kind of innovation that lead to new research, that lead to new equipment. For example, it can be new poles, or it can be new helmet for motorcycle race, or it can be a lot of different things. And there are also the research, and so all the research that lead to new knowledge. And those two kind of innovation of technology have both positive effects, I think, on sport, but also on health, on education, and on equality.
But at the same time, I mean, Elias is telling us also in the chat that technology evolves every year, every semester, and it creates huge gap between those who have and those who have not. And so somehow the disparity increase. How can we make sure that really sports, I mean, people, athletes are really starting from the same starting line?
Yeah, so that question actually is really interesting, because, you know, technology can be good and bad. And so we have to, in sport, we have to make action to make technology an opportunity for certain people, okay, to discover sport or to improve themselves. And, you know, when I was younger, I can tell you a little story about that. Is that, okay, when I was younger, I was at the Youth Olympic Games, and I had a discussion with a member of athletic delegation of a country, from Africa. I don't remember which country. And I asked him, okay, do you have pole vaulter in your country? Because there are no pole vaulter here at the Youth Olympic Games. And he answered me, look, Arnaud, we don't even have a mat. So, and then I was, okay, wow, I didn't know that. And of course, that's the problem, because, you know, technology is completely a part of an athletic performance, and we must ensure that everybody could have access to this technology. It can be thanks to, for example, to training center, or it can be, you know, training center, or we can just maybe, I know that I was the sponsor of an association that just bring defavorized children from school to the training and back to their home. So there are a lot of, I think, solution, but yeah, we have to yeah, we really have to be to pay attention to that problem, you know, because some technology can help to people to be better, to improve their performance, but there are also good technology, like all technology are good, but technology also can help to just make people improve safety, for example, or their technology can improve, can make other people doing some sports.
For example, we've got in the chat somebody asking about, let's say, the girls' engagement and girls' participation. I mean, maybe do you think some technology also can facilitate or encourage girls to make sports?
Yeah, so about girls, okay, gender. I don't have an example in my mind. Maybe somebody can have an example, but maybe I have some example for disabled people, for example. So people with handicap, there are a lot of innovation in welfare, in, you know, in welfare, for example, or in access for disabled people. Yeah, I'm trying to find an example for gender equality.
Maybe we'll come back in a moment, and we will ask also the other to speak about this question. And I'm sure Emilie, maybe in a moment, will tell us how maybe we can also have more social impact. But definitely, you said about disabled persons, and you commented about these opportunities created by technology in using and getting them to also be part of the sports and the physical activities. So, okay, that's very interesting. Maybe let's ask Emilie, and we will come back to you, Arnaud, in a moment, and maybe we'll have more discussion among the three, all of us. Emilie, Michel, you are not a pure scientist, although you are working in a famous polytechnic school, EPFL, and you are working at the Vice Presidency for Innovation, and in particular with the team developing technologies for impact in sport and tech for impact. Your objective is precisely to get the scientific know-how out of the labs to transform our society. Could you give us some example where you are building bridges to leverage science and technology to sustainable impact?
Yes, so I will focus on sport maybe today, because I co-manage the Sport Tech initiative at EPFL. So our mission is, as you say, to transfer our research knowledge and technology to the society. And for that, we are working with all type of companies. One way that for us, sport is mainly, we see in sport mainly two big opportunities to do that. For us, it's really a fast track for innovation. Why is it a fast track for innovation? Because in the sport field, you can find a specific mindset which is linked to the sport professional. Those people are really open-minded and use to test new products, new kind of technologies to improve the performance of the athlete. So it gives us the opportunity to work with them and to have quick testing and feedback on our technologies. Another thing linked to sports, to the sports field, is that you have always this quest of performance, and these particular things make that we can test and develop cutting-edge technology which would not be profitable for other sectors in the economy. So, but when you develop this kind of technology for sport, because those people really want to find ways to always perform more, you can find a second application, a second solution in other sectors in your industry. And these make that in the sport sector, you can find one of the shortest time to develop new product in the economy. So it's very a big opportunity for us to work
in a way. You are saying that that sport is a kind of perfect testing lab for technology, for all kind of, let's say.
Yes, and the second thing is that in sport you have a very big diversity of thematics. So we can work about neuroscience, social science, materials, data, of course, physiology, biomechanics. You have very many fields of research that you can apply in sports. So it's we have identified more than 40 laboratories at EPFL, which have developed technology which are used or can be used in the sports sector. So it's pretty huge for us.
Almost anything, let's say, can contribute to the, let's say, to the sports experience. Even some users' experience. I mean, if we go on the other side of the sport,
for the users' experience, of course, we are developing a virtual reality, new broadcasting solution, maybe to just come back to the equality, gender equality, new solution of broadcasting, that we are developing are cheaper and easier to use, and it will certainly become a way to promote all the leagues, all the sport leagues, and not only the major one. So it will be easier to have access to the women leagues, and to give this the kind of fine engagement also for not only the men user leagues, but also the junior leagues, the women leagues, and the senior leagues. So it will give us the way to have access to new role models and women role models. I think so.
We've got a question in the chat. Somebody, Elia, is also asking that it is sad to say that, but innovation is not inclusive and benefits only Western societies. How to revert this gap?
So we are trying to do that at EPFL too. Not precisely in this sport tech innovation, but we have another big initiative which is called Essential Tech. And it's a new kind of development. It's we try to develop technology which can be used everywhere in the world and can be accessed at lower cost that we usually find in Europe and in the US. So this kind of development, it's something that we will then transfer to other initiatives at EPFL. So in sport, when I spoke about broadcasting, it's also a way to give access to this new kind of technology, broadcasting technology, not only in Europe. It would be accessible for all countries, of course, and the cost is really reduced. So it should be accessible to more people.
Yeah, I think it is important to say that, because sometimes we tend to think that technology in sports is only, let's say, the technology, for example, in Formula One or in, I don't know, the America race, the sailing America race. And
maybe just to add a word about that, it's, of course, you took the example of Formula One. It's something, when I said it's a way to test cutting edge and develop cutting edge technologies, it's true. But the final goal that we would like to have is to maybe develop this cutting edge technology for the sports sector, but then doing another development which are more broad and for other sectors, and the final goal is to always to transfer this new technology to the global society. I can give you maybe just two examples in the health and public health in particular. One of our big field is the development of sensors. And I can give you two examples of sensors which were developed for the sports sector. The first one is a startups, an EPFL startups called Xensio. It's an non-invasive sensor that you can just put on your skin, and it detects and monitor biomarker from your sweat. It's really useful. It was first developed in a goal to just monitor your hydration level for athletes. But today they have developed a second solution based on the same capture, and it allows to monitor hormone and protein and to measure your risk of burnout. Mm-hmm. So it's really something that has start from the sports sector in a very precise type of model that we wanted to have. But today it's a solution which can be applied to the whole population to fight a new disease that we see a lot today, which is the burnout. And the second example is another sensor. It's GetUp. It's also an EPFL startup. GetUp was developed to measure the motion and movement of athletes for running, swimming, any kind of sport. And we just published, I think that a few days ago, that GetUp and the EPFL laboratories, which this startup come from, has developed a new algorithm to detect Parkinson's disease. So it's one of the kind of development that started in sport and then transferred to the population for the public health management.
So very, very interesting. Yeah, we see that the technology should not only contribute to the performance of the athletes and the high-level athletes, but also should also apply and should come out of the labs to go to the society and to take different forms of solutions for our daily life. We've got a questions, I mean, which is a bit tricky. It's not easy, and I think it's a question for the three of you. What roles would you think the sponsors and sports companies and maybe also sports federation could play to overcome the gap between the haves and the not haves? So how could we maybe put everybody in on the same line, or to develop some standards for the sports federation? I mean, isn't it something of that kind? I'm just thinking, for example, I know that in precisely in Formula One, there was a tendency, there was an evolution of the technology which was making cars faster and faster to the point that it was really against security and safety of the pilots. And then the sports federation started to say, okay, there are some limits and to the use of technology. And so it is more on the tweaking, let's say, some of the parameters. But up to you, Marlène. I think you want to say something.
No, but you talked about the international federation's role in it. So Peace in Sport, we work with many international federations actually to promote the development and to reach as many people as possible. And as an example, I'm thinking of the International Federation in Taekwondo, which was my sport. They have built a Taekwondo humanitarian fund, and its goal is to develop and reach as many communities, and the ones that have and the ones that are less fortunate. And in terms of peace in sport, we actually work in zones that are mostly affected by whether it's poverty or social instability. So we try to narrow the gap.
To narrow the gap. Arnaud?
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Yeah, I know that the CEO also have some programs to help some people. For example, the CEO present us an athlete from Eritrea. I don't know, is it pronounced well? And so they asked us if we could train him, but for free. And of course, we say yes. So I know that some programs exist, and yeah, that's all.
I think Arnaud is referring to the IOC International Solidarity Program, which helps national Olympic committees in emerging countries, allowing them and giving grants to some of the athletes to be able to actually train and participate in the Olympic Games. So you have as many, so it reflects the universality of the Olympic Games and allows the movement to reach as many countries. I believe for Tokyo, we're looking at 205 countries participating.
And there will be a team also of refugees, and that will be very interesting also. And the UNHCR colleagues are also working directly with these people to identify them, to identify the talents.
So we really try to be. I mean, sport is it's an inclusive. It's the best tool to bring everyone together. So we really want to use it to actually narrow the gap and contribute to development in an inclusive environment.
Emilie, you were also, in preparing this discussion, we were also discussing about this opportunity of sports events to mobilize, let's say, multidisciplinary, let's say, researcher or scientists for one common event. So one purpose, one moment, one place. So it's a kind of driving force for all the, let's say, the technologists and all.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's something that we are trying to develop in two ways. We are thinking about what will be the new kind of sport event, because today we have to reduce the negative impact of sport event and to increase the positive impact. So it's a big challenge, but it's also a perfect place to use our new digital tools. These tools can be used to manage the people flows, the broadcasting. It's a way to reduce the negative impact, because if you are able to give access to this kind of sport event to people without having them to travel to a stadium or a specific place, you can also reduce the size and the number of these sports facilities. So it's a way we are thinking of how we can reduce this negative impact of sport event. But also you give access to more people, because this access to this event become cheaper. And also it gives you the opportunity to promote and to cover more kind of sport events. So as I said, you can promote and cover all kind of leagues, all kind of events without having to have a specific number of people which will follow your event. And the second thing that we would like to develop, it's in the existing sport facilities, to transform them as a test bench for our technologies. So this place will become a testing place for our laboratories, but also for any startups or company which would like to work with us on the development of these new technologies.
I've got a question for Marlène. Martial arts are usually seen as male sport in Asian societies, for example. How to encourage girls' interest in these sports? How to help transform mentalities and cultures for more gender equality? So again, this question of gender equality and more specifically,
I'm not sure. I think maybe it's the cultural difference, whereas, for instance, football is seen as a male-dominant sport in Europe, and it's seen as a female sport in North America, because martial arts is it's actually very, for Taekwondo, for instance, it's very developed for women in Europe, particularly in France, where we have 45%.
Yeah, I think we have lost your voice. So I'm going to continue with other questions. I mean, we have plenty of questions coming in, and if some people want, some also ask the question in French, do not hesitate. You can use French also, since everybody is bilingual or multilingual in this conversation. Sorry, Marlène, you are back again? You wanted to add? No. So let me ask a question. Maybe it's more for Emilie, and it is more about the improvement of the ecological footprint. Just an example. I mean, the use of plastic waste of major sport events. Do you think international bodies such as FIFA, IOC, UEFA should perhaps do more in these regards?
Of course, I think so. We are not actually working with the FIFA, but we are working with the Swiss Ski Federation. And one big challenge on which we are working together is that the International Ski Federation has banned the use of fluor for equipment. So it's a very good thing, but it's a big challenge. So it's a topic on which technology can be new sustainable technology have to be developed and can find application. Another main, we are working on the plastic too. More generally on the polymers. We have many labs which are working on how to recycle the current polymer used in the common plastic, but also in the sport goods. You can find on sportwears a lot of polymers in your shoes, in your clothes. So it's something that we have to think about. So we have our labs working on that, but also other labs working on new sustainable polymers. So new polymer which will be completely recyclable.
Very important, very interesting. Somebody, Patrice Cholet, is just commenting that martial arts are the most advanced sports in terms of gender equality. So somehow it extends Marlène's answer, and we lost her. She will come back in a moment, I suppose. I would like maybe to ask Arnaud more about his function as also data scientist. I mean, we know that the big data is something absolutely crucial now in our society, and especially when artificial intelligence will come and will be developed. How do you see, let's say, the evolution of the use of the quantity of data which is collected precisely by the device, by the sensors we have in our pocket or we put on our chest just when doing sports? How do you see this? Your microphone. Unmute your microphone, please.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I see that with a lot of interest because, you know, the human body is quite complicated to understand. The human body at rest, so it's complicated. So the human body in movement is even much more complicated. So we need new tools, we need more data, we need more cleaner data, we need better data to understand what happened in the bodies, and we need new tools to clean this data or just to see relationship that are not possible to see with our eyes. And that's there that I think that the artificial intelligence and the machine learnings and can have a positive effects because, you know, sports and technology is not only about, when we say that, it's not only about performance, it's also about education, about health, and for example, a lot of research in sport have positive effects on education, for example, we can help children with psychomotor problem or with who are hyperactive. And so I think that actually the artificial intelligence and the big data can help us to better understand who we are, how we move, how we feel. So definitively, it will be really, really interesting.
And not only, let's say, the physical move. I see somebody commenting also about the mental health, which is also another component we have not yet talked about, but we have had during this year of pandemic. Also, we have had the experience to, let's say, to test and to see how important is the sport and physical activities for physical and mental health. And I think more and more people see that as something absolutely fundamental, and it contributes also to the development and to the good, let's say, the good health of individuals, but also of the societies. Again, we've got another questions about discrimination and especially more, let's say, I do not see exactly how we can relate that, but the use and the technology and the impact on injustice, and how we can use, let's say, technology for reducing the discrimination. We talked about some disabled people, about the gender gap, but also here about racism and things like that, for example. Do you have any thought about that, about this? Marlène?
I don't know about for justice, but I know for peace building, that's the whole goal of the application that was developed. So you have the 20-hour e-learning training I previously mentioned, but then you have 2 years of content and of sessions, and each session transmits peace values through sport and allows to. So it's all about respect, it's self-confidence, self-esteem that we want to the beneficiaries to embrace. So it would reach this peace building and contribute to better human citizens and promotion of positive values through sport, peace value through sports.
Yeah, thanks. I think this makes the links with also the Sustainable Development Goals, which are fundamentally inclusive. And I mean, the idea behind the Sustainable Development Goals is that precisely nobody is left behind. And maybe you could give us some examples of where technology or innovation has created new opportunities for those who usually were left behind. Emilie or Arnaud, do you have some examples where precisely this technology has created this kind of opportunity?
I have some example, one which is linked to robotics. We developed exoskeleton at EPFL, and one of them called Twice is an exoskeleton for paraplegic people. Mm-hmm. It not only gives them the opportunity to stand up and walk, but the last development enable paraplegic people to do outdoor sport like ski touring. So it's a way for those people to come back to the kind of sport that they love to do before their tragic accidents. And so it's something which is, I think, socially inclusive and have a big impact. Another thing that we are trying to develop, which is less technologies, is all the urban training and but also the gamification of sport activities. It's a way for us to fight the physical inactivity in the population. If you can give free access and easy access to sport just in your way to school or in your way to work, it can be a big impact for your health and your physical activity in general. So it's the two examples that I have in mind.
Good. Marlène, I have the impression that you wanted to say something? You're frozen again? Okay. We've got other comments, and maybe we can, I mean, I think it's more just a comment about environment. Yeah, I think it is Elias who's telling us that he recently developed a concept to recycle used tennis balls in Switzerland, 3.6 million a year. And in order to expand the concept movement and to create synergies with other sports in Switzerland. So he is maybe willing to collaborate, and is even asking us whether we could collaborate. Maybe there is something for EPFL as well in recycling.
Yes,
of
course.
I know that,
Elias, you can contact me. I will be pleased to speak with you about that.
yeah, exactly. So. Perfect. And it is something quite interesting in EPFL. You explained to me, Emilie, precisely about the ecosystem of the Lausanne. You want somehow to be the sports Silicon Valley.
We would like to move from the Washington of sports to the Silicon Valley of sport.
So not only the sports federation in Lausanne and in
we have a lot of sports companies like Stöckli, Nideker, Mammut, and many startups. But we also have developed an academic network which is called Smart Move. It's 9 academic institutes, all close to Lausanne or in Canton de Vaud. You can find the CHUV, you can find the École Hôtelière de Lausanne, the ECAL, which is a design school. This academic network allows us to develop solutions for sports, because when you have a challenge in sports, you always have to develop a systemic or holistic approach. And we at EPFL, we can only provide new technologies. So we need all those high-level partners to find the best solution for sport challenge. And it's something which is, I think, unique in the world to find all those competencies in this such small place. Because when we speak with big companies, big international companies, of course they can find these competencies, but generally they find them in like 3 or 5 countries on 3 continents. So it's easier when you have all those kind of high-level academic institute in the same place. And it's something that is pretty unique, I think, in Switzerland and in Canton de Vaud.
Yeah, and I would even continue and expand, let's say, this reflection, saying that more and more the different UN and international organizations in Geneva or close to Geneva are working with the different international sports federation, but also with the academia, and we are very, very, very pleased of that. So we are almost at the end of our chat, our discussion about sports technology and innovation, and really I would like to thank you again for participating and to being part of this very interesting conversation. You will see in the chat that if you want to know a bit more about our invitees, about Marlène, about Arnaud, you will get some videos, and in the chat you will see some videos. You can continue, let's say, understanding and trying to see exactly who they are and what they are doing. And also yesterday, the Geneva Solution, which is a very interesting media, I would strongly recommend to all of you, provided a podcast with Emilie and an EPFL colleague precisely on sports technology and innovation. And thanks to Geneva Solutions, also a partner of this 2030 Digital Fast Track solution. But I just would like to conclude by saying that today we have seen that technology and innovation in sports can mean many things. It can be a device to collect data on our physical activities, and it can be an application to guide coaches to develop sport values with kids, or it can be also audiovisual systems to improve the or virtual reality to improve spectators' experience. It's impossible, of course, to put all this technology in one single basket and to give a cost to that. That was one of the questions also. Of course, these are multiple technologies with different kind of cost, but we saw that some of these innovation and technology are also low-cost technology, and it's quite interesting, and we need to keep that in mind. If technology is only a tool, sport is in fact a very interesting driving force. It's an opportunity in terms of purpose, on space, time, to join forces, to explore the multiple dimensions of technologies and innovation, and to provide answers to our complex individuality, body, mental health, but also our collective lives. So it's very interesting to continue understanding this, the complexity of our life. And like the hammer or the nuclear science, technology can be used for the better, but also for the worse. And we can build, cure, or improve our world, but we can also destroy, harm, or damage. And so technology in itself is not good or bad. It is somehow the way we use it which will make the difference. And the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are quite clear. And they are so interlinked that they constitute probably the best expression of the future we collectively want. So in a way, the Sustainable Development Goals, and that's the key message we would like to pass to all today, and with this initiative of the Digital Fast Track Studio, it is an invitation to all of us to move into that direction and to consciously act using all the capacities of our bodies and our intelligence to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. Somehow the SDGs are the compass, the sport is the leverage, or is somehow our common boat on which we are sailing, and technology in all its forms is the mean by which we can improve our journey. So that's what I wanted to say just to conclude. Again, thanks to all of you who participated. Thank you to Marlène, to Emilie, to Arnaud, and see you soon for the next Digital Fast Track Studio. It will be in June, and we will be talking about the ocean. In Geneva, we've got the lake, but we are also close to the ocean. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.